Hello, teacher candidates. Welcome to week 3. I would like to review the assignments with you, starting with the discussion on adjusting instruction. Be sure that you are answering the prompts using your specific standards, universal or mild to moderate. And as always, be sure you are following the APA guidelines while you cite your sources, and cite as many of your points as possible. You don't have to be redundant just to get them in there, but do use your resources for the week, the reading that's provided by the university. You can also use outside resources, but be sure you have a mix. And then follow that RISE model as we discussed in other lessons. Let me look over here for the next assignment is your classroom teacher observation. So notice the amount of hours that you need to have through the year, or the term, I'm sorry, and just one for this first observation. Use the observation form that is attached specifically for your standards. If mild to moderate isn't on there, then find the alignment document that has already been provided and make note of those standards that you see happening in your classroom observations. Now, the assignment says, notice that it's difficult to see everything in one visit, which is true, but then be sure that you are maybe observing more than one setting so you can have multiple observations. You must say something in nearly all of the TPE sections. So don't just put one thing for one and then move on and do a couple in another and then one or two here or there. Do as many as possible, more than less, for each standard. That being said, if it's difficult for you to observe something, which we all know it is going to be, have that conversation with the teacher. Hey, what do you know about this? What do you do for that? Okay, because they may not be demonstrating everything, just like when you're teaching and your progress assessments, right? It may not be visible, but have the conversations so you can demonstrate your understanding. Now, my one key point about this paperwork is that when you have to write down your interpretation of each and every single standard in your own words, be sure that you hit the full intent of the standard. Don't just catch the first half and then forget the second half. Remember, they start off with one key point, a lot of blah, blah, blah in the middle, and then they're going to round it out as seen in kind of a thing, like demonstrated by, and then at the end. So there's multiple key factors that you want to hit on most every single standard, just like in your annotations, in your progress assessments. So be aware of that. And you can use this document in your progress assessment annotations, because when you have all of these standards written in your own words, you can then use that as the platform in your annotations to say, this is what the standard is about. Here's how I'm demonstrating it, or here is what I do regularly in my practice, or here's simply what I know about it, even though I don't have experience. So make sure that this document for your observation is useful to you. Okay, let me click. Sorry, I've got to find it on my screen. And this kind of leads us into our progress assessment. Everything that I just said is applicable for both of these lessons. So I already discussed how to make your annotations. Be sure that you are very explicit in what you write in your annotations so that you don't say, I don't do this. That's not really good enough, because if you can't explain to me somehow that you understand it, whether you do it or whether we see it, then you're going to get 0 points, right? 1 point is the lowest score, and that is not going to get you a passing grade. So be sure that you explain your understanding of every single annotation for this progress assessment. Remember, it's limited to a certain focus for each week. Know what that focus is, and it's going to go in chronological order, so don't really worry about that. But mild to moderate candidates, be sure that you are addressing your standards as necessary. So align them, use that chart. Let's say, for example, TPE 3 has 7 universal standards, but only 3 mild to moderate. So don't go doing stuff that you don't have to do. Make sure that you are really demonstrating that you are paying attention to the instructions, that you understand, the fine details of every assignment. And if you have questions before you turn an assignment in, I haven't heard from anybody about your lesson plans yet. I look forward to giving you that feedback. But if you would also like to discuss the progress assessment, how you can be successful in that, please make us an appointment in my office hours. That link was provided the first week and in the syllabus. And speaking of the lesson plan, be sure that you take my notes, my feedback, and that you make revisions to the document you load into Teaching Channel. If you just load the same one that's kind of riddled with things that could be improved, you will not get full credit. So please do make those revisions to your lesson plan after I give you the feedback. And all of the instructions are there. I have provided resources for you to refer to the TPE and Arizona alignment chart. Even though you're not an Arizona candidate, look at that chart because that's valuable information, and then you can use that to adapt into your own language and into your own observations or skills, and use this as an example. There are 2 examples for activities. So those are my tips for your progress assessment. Make sure, obviously, that you have all your permission slips. Make sure that you are submitting 15 minutes only of unedited video, but crop it, beginning or ending, to show your best teaching. Typically, that is guided practice, transition from one thing to another, but included guided practice. Please do not submit 15 minutes of you walking around the classroom during independent work. That is not demonstrating your best skills, right? Be sure that you are able to submit demonstration of quality teaching, all your best tips and tricks and, bells and whistles or whatever they say. If you have a question before you submit, please get a hold of me. And that's basically it. Have a fantastic week 3.